Welcome to Reality Check video. On August 6, 1945, an American B-29 bomber, the Enola Gay, dropped the world's first atomic bomb on the Japanese city of Hiroshima. 3 days later, another atomic bomb was dropped on Nagasaki. These two bombings killed around 200,000 people, most of them civilians. To understand why America used nuclear weapons on Japan, we need to go back to the events of World War II. In 1941, Japan launched a surprise attack on the United States Navy base at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii, which led to America's entry into the war. The war in the Pacific was brutal, with heavy losses on both sides. The United States and its allies were determined to defeat Japan, but they faced a formidable enemy. Japan had a well-trained and well-equipped military, and its soldiers and civilians were fiercely loyal to their emperor. As the war dragged on, the Allies began to realize that defeating Japan would be difficult and costly. The Allies had made some progress in the Pacific, but they were still a long way from the Japanese mainland. The Japanese army had dug in on the islands, and the U.S. Navy was facing heavy losses from kamikaze attacks. The Allies needed a way to bring the war to a swift and decisive end. In 1942, the U.S. government launched the Manhattan Project, a top-secret research program to develop a new weapon that would end the war. The Manhattan Project brought together some of the world's top scientists, including Albert Einstein. When Harry S. Truman became president in 1945, he inherited the decision of whether or not to use the atomic bomb. Truman was faced with a difficult choice: continue the war, which would likely result in many more American and Japanese casualties, or use the atomic bomb, which would end the war quickly but at a terrible cost. Truman ultimately decided to use the atomic bomb. The bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki were devastating, but they brought the war to an abrupt end. Japan surrendered on August 15, 1945, and the war was over. The decision to use nuclear weapons on Japan was a controversial one, and it continues to be debated to this day. But for President Truman and the Allies, it was a necessary and ultimately successful means to end a long and bloody war. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel.